what Kujira is. Oh, yeah, we'll give a bit of information about what Kujira is. We'll tell you about some of our products, and then we'll finish with some of the student opportunities specifically tailored to developers and software engineers. So as an introduction, my name is KP. I've been involved in crypto for nearly 2 years now. So I started way back in nearly March of 2021. I began this journey with pretty much no financial knowledge or economic knowledge at all. So everything that I have today and everything that I know is sort of just a result of, passion and just being interested in the space. I'm aware most of you guys are also involved in crypto in some way. So you'll understand what I mean when I say it sort of just grabs a hold of you. It's very addictive, and yeah, I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. Moving on, I am currently the lead writer at Kujira. So I write a weekly series that summarizes all Kujira related events. I try to get the community involved as much as I can. And it's just something fun to do that, galvanizes the community together and, make sure that everyone just understands and knows what's going on. I also co-founded the university outreach program with Kid Kuji, and we will talk about that later, as well as, how you guys can get involved. And we only just began building this. So of course, bear that in mind that things might not be, readily available right away afterwards, but, we'll get you involved literally as soon as we can. I studied biochemistry at the University of Bristol in the UK. So people are quite surprised by that. But I think it's really like a testament to the multidisciplinary background of many people in Web3. You really don't need to have an economics degree or a background in finance or anything like that. There's space for everyone.
Hi guys, as KP said, I appreciate you taking the time today, and I'm looking forward to discussing what Kujira is and how you can get involved. So yeah, my name's Kid Kuji. I came a bit late to the space, about a year and a bit now. And yeah, I was introduced to Kujira through KP, and similar to him, I started with relatively no knowledge or experience. In the last 6 months, I've been appointed by Cambridge Uni as a lead Web3 writer, and have been writing articles across the space since then. Kujira wise, I host an interview series focused on onboarding protocols, and of course recently co-founded the university program with KP. So it's been a busy couple of months. I study economics and management, so there's some overlap, but a lot of the material is relatively new, and it doesn't really lend itself to the space. There's not really any requirement degree wise, and I do personally believe that anyone and everyone can succeed in this space, required they put the time in developing those skills and network.
Sure. So as a bit of a disclaimer, neither of us are developers, but having been in the space for 2 years, we have a bit of knowledge about this. But I will briefly go over why Kujira chose to build on Cosmos and what Cosmos is. So Kujira is a blockchain. It's a sovereign layer 1 built using the Cosmos SDK. But to really understand that, what is Cosmos? Cosmos is a decentralized network of independent parallel blockchains, and each of those blockchains is powered by the Byzantine fault tolerance consensus algorithm called Tendermint. To break that down, since I know that is a bit of a handful, the Tendermint consensus mechanism is the proof of stake infrastructure that allows Cosmos Hub and many other networks, like for example Kujira, to function. For the purpose of this presentation, I don't really want to go into it in too much more detail than that, because it is a bit of a rabbit hole. But as I know most of you are developers, I would strongly recommend looking into how Tendermint works, because it is super interesting tech, and it's a direct contrast from EVM chains. But essentially, Cosmos is an ecosystem of blockchains with interoperability ingrained in their core. So it's a bit of a different setup to conventional EVM chains, where they sort of operate in a silo. Assets and data can't be transferred easily between them. So that's the real unique selling point, I suppose, of Cosmos. which leads us on to why did Kujira build on Cosmos? So Tendermint allows our developers to focus on, actual application development. So conceptually, blockchains are split into 3 layers. The application layer, where things like, for example, processing transactions occurs. The network layer, where I don't know, things like propagation of transactions, other messages, that kind of thing happens. And then the consensus layer, which ensures that nodes agree on the current state of the system. The Tendermint BFT algorithm provides a solution that packages the networking and consensus layers together into a generic engine. So this allows our developer team to optimize the application layer instead of spending all this time on, making sure that the nodes agree on each other or with each other. It just packages it all into a nice, easy to use program that, allows you to make a layer 1 that allows you to focus on just the applications. The Cosmos SDK is another incredible tool, to be honest, provided to Cosmos builders. It simplifies the process of building secure blockchain applications. So the combination of Cosmos SDK and Tendermint meant that Cosmos just provides the best tools to build a layer 1 in a simple and robust way. And it allows us to focus on our products and applications above all else. Because you can imagine that if you spend all this time making a secure blockchain and making sure that everything communicates with each other perfectly, that takes a lot of time. So to have it all packaged in one is massively useful to our developer team. Finally, interoperability and the ability to communicate with other blockchains was really important to us. We do this on Cosmos via IBC, which is Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol. And this is like the revolutionary tech that Cosmos provides, really. So put simply, it allows you to transfer assets between IBC-enabled blockchains incredibly easily too, which is a massive advantage to us because it allows Kujira to tap into liquidity throughout Cosmos. Of course, there are conventional bridges like Axelar and Gravity Bridge that allow you to bridge from EVM chains to Cosmos too. But that's why Cosmos is built on, Kujira is built on Cosmos and not EVM, for example. But what actually is Kujira? So we'll begin with a brief summary of our history and how we got to where we are today. Kujira began as a democratized liquidations protocol on Anchor, which was the main money market of Terra. As most of you, I'm sure, are aware, this came to a bit of an abrupt end in May of 2022 with the collapse of Luna and Terra. But within a few weeks, the team decided they would flip the script. And we just decided, we'll make our own layer 1 on Cosmos. We'll release the concept behind Fin, our decentralized exchange. And, fast forward to now, the core team have produced nearly 7 products themselves. We've got over 10 third-party developer teams building products on our network, and all of this within the last 8 months. So it's been a really impressive growth. And I think just a testament to the resilience of teams in crypto as well. So what products have we built and how do they work? I'll give the opportunity to ask questions after each of these products are explained as well. So if anyone has any questions, just make sure to put them in the chat. So I mentioned earlier that we had a novel liquidations mechanism to Anchor on Terra, and this was called Orca and is still fully functional to this day. Orca is the world's first public marketplace for bidding on liquidated collateral. So by participating in a sort of Dutch auction, users are able to obtain liquidated collateral at up to a 30% discount. Liquidated collateral comes from things like bad loans. So you take out a loan, the price of the asset goes down. To avoid bad debt, we need to liquidate the loan, and that's where the collateral comes from. In previous solutions, the liquidation market was cornered by the elite at the top, with the most efficient, fastest bots, with the quickest bots that could access this collateral, basically. And that meant that there was a massive barrier to entry. Now with Orca, the community can get involved themselves and profit from this previously lost or locked strategy, I should say. As Kujira does not have a money market, the loans that are liquidated come from 2 sources: futures, which is just trading basically on our DEX, and our stable coin called USK. This is a screenshot of the UI on Orca that I hope you can all see. In the middle, where those bar graph type columns are, that represents the different premiums that you can bid on. So for example, if you bid in a 30% premium, which is all the way over here on the right, if a loan is liquidated, you receive the collateral at a 30% discount to the current market price. This obviously allows you to profit instantly, where you can purchase that collateral, sell it, and lock in the 30% profit. The Dutch auction aspect comes from competition for bids. So as you can see, premiums begin at 0% and increase all the way to 30%. When a loan is liquidated, in this example on the screen anyway, you can see that the first bids are at 4%. So when a loan is liquidated, all of these bids will be filled at a 4% premium or discount to market price, then 5%, then 6%, and so on. So that's where the Dutch auction aspect comes. There's competition for the bids where the lowest bids are filled first. So all in all, Orca provides an innovative solution for money markets to remain solvent, and it reduces the risks of bad debt accruing, as well as giving the community an opportunity to purchase that liquidated collateral. Does anybody have any questions with regards to that?
Yeah, I think I got one that some might have on their minds, right? So what are some of the risks that are associated with buying like liquidated collateral?
Sure.
As an end user?
Yeah, of course. So obviously liquidated collateral is only liquidated when the price of the asset goes down, right? So if the price of the underlying asset is really tanking in price and it goes down -10, -20%, you're purchasing the liquidated collateral as it's going down. So you could say, for example, it's catching falling knives, right? Like the asset's going down and you're purchasing it as it's going down. So a potential risk is that you buy it for, let's say, a 10% discount and it just continues to go down afterwards. So obviously, you have to bear that in mind when you decide which kind of assets that you're going on. Obviously with crypto, it is quite, you never know what's going to happen, right? You could think even Bitcoin won't go down 10% and it will go down 20% in a day. So bear that in mind, that's certainly a risk. But if you are, let's say, more risk averse, you can always bid on the discounts that are much higher, such as 20%, 30%. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay, I'll move on to our stablecoin now. So USK is our decentralized stablecoin, which, I mean, especially in recent news with BUSD, etc., a decentralized stablecoin is really necessary in the space. It is soft pegged to the dollar, and it's initially backed by assets like Atom, DOT, Wrapped ETH, and Wrapped BNB. It's an over collateralized stablecoin, meaning it is always backed by a minimum of 166% by the collateral underneath. So if you wanted to take out 10 USK, you need to put in nearly $15 of collateral. This helps to ensure the stability of the stablecoin and reduces the risk of liquidation as well. Native Cosmos stablecoins are pretty few and far between, with native USD not on Cosmos yet, although to be fair, I think Circle is trying to make this happen soon. Instead, Cosmos users have to bridge USD using Axelar, inheriting all the risks of a bridge, which, as we know, have seen multi-million dollar hacks recently. So Cosmos is in a really sticky position where there's no massive stable coin that is native to Cosmos. So we're trying to fill that hole with a decentralized one. USK is actually fully decentralized, and any of the collateral types cannot be frozen by governments or central authorities, where, for example, USDC can and has been in the past. It's native to Cosmos and currently has a market cap of about $1.1 million. And it's growing quickly. It's only been around for, I think, maybe 2-3 months now. So while the market cap is small, the demand for it is rising. Now that we have our own stablecoin, in fact, I'll ask if there's any more questions again, if anyone has anything. I'll assume not, and we'll come back to it if there is. But now that we had our own stablecoin, we could create trading pairs against it on our decentralized exchange, which is called Fin. So Fin is a decentralized order book exchange which works slightly different to your standard AMM or automated market maker, which, for example, Uniswap uses. Instead of using liquidity pools that liquidity providers need to deposit equal amounts of 2 assets to facilitate trading, instead users simply place limit buys and sells in the single asset that they want to trade. So if you want to trade Bitcoin, you only need to put a limit buy or limit sell in for Bitcoin, rather than in a standard AMM. To provide that liquidity, you need 50 parts Bitcoin, 50 parts stablecoin. An order book is simply a list of all the limit buys and limit sells, which are in the market at the moment, and they are matched whenever someone wants to market buy by the matching algorithm. In this way, we don't need any inflationary incentives to prop up the system, which improves our scalability massively because, put simply, we don't need to print tokens out of thin air to pay liquidity providers or incentivize them to provide liquidity. Fin also has a O1 computational complexity. So no matter how many orders flood the market at once, the matching algorithm will always run at the same speed, and we don't run into any problems with scalability. This is something that is quite novel. I can see the question, I'll come back to it in a sec. But this is something that is quite novel to DEXs. Most have some sort of off-chain matching algorithm to deal with that scalability, or even just don't at all, and will run into issues in the future. Fin allows for improved trade execution. So these limit orders that you place are filled with literally 0 slippage. So you can guarantee that you're getting the token at that price. And just finally, we have a permissioned token listing. So any new tokens that need to be added are added at the discretion of the team and governance. So the community gets to decide basically, but it also prevents scams from listing their token. Will any 2 currency pairs be allowed? Is this, I'm assuming you mean 2 stable coins. Is that true? Or do you mean USDC, sorry, US dollar, or another currency like GBP, for example? Yeah, sure. So we don't currently have any other currencies because, I feel like most stablecoins right now are denominated in US dollars, but as we've seen quite recently, oh, sorry, you mean 2 stablecoins, right? Yes, we do. We have USK, which is our stablecoin. We have Axela USDC, which, as I mentioned before, was the Axela bridged USDC. And that is the biggest one in Cosmos at the moment. I can't tell you how much liquidity, but it's vast majority is that. We're working with a company founded by Zaki, who's one of the big Cosmos core founders. He has his own stablecoin, IST. We're working with them to get stablecoin pairs there. So essentially, we do want Fin to be a sort of core liquidity hub in Cosmos where you can trade between different stablecoin pairs. And eventually, as it grows, I'm sure we'll do stable swaps, which I'm not sure if you know much about them, but they're just, it allows much better stablecoin liquidity, or more efficient, capital efficient stablecoin trading anyway. So yeah, any stablecoins that are on Cosmos, we're more than happy to list. At the moment, we've only got Axela USDT and Axela USDC, but as any grow, especially native Cosmos ones, we're more than happy to list them. I hope that answers your question. Perfect. Okay, moving on to Bo. This is a screenshot of Fin to begin with. So on the left, you can see all of the asset pairs. And in fact, there you'll be able to see the Axela USDC USK pair as well. In the middle is just a graph that depicts the token price, obviously. And on the right, you can see the order book where there's all of the limit sells in red, limit buys in green, and the recent trades can be seen on the right. Any open orders that you have or are being executed would be shown where the Fin sign is at the bottom. So I promise this is the last product, so it won't take up too much more of your time. This is Bo. Bo provides the framework for optimal trading conditions on Fin. It does this by being a decentralized, self-sufficient market maker, where the community itself becomes a market maker on the exchange. to make a market, which is where market maker comes from, uses deposit assets, similar to just a liquidity pool with AMMs. And these assets are used to place limit sells and buys in the order books. And you can profit between the two, because obviously if you place a limit buy at $15 and a limit sell at 12, if they both fill, you profit from the difference between the two. This provides deeper liquidity in Fin and allows limit orders to be, or it sets limit orders as soon as they're filled. So if you market by $15, let's say, and it gets rid of those limit sells, and then I try and buy afterwards, it resets those limit sells again. So it allows lots of trading to go through the books at once. It's also an opportunity for yield farming, where trading revenue from the spread, or the difference between the two, as I mentioned, is given to the depositors, and third-party incentives are provided as well by external protocols. So for example, we have a Chainlink USK pair, and the Chainlink team themselves have provided some external incentives to, try and encourage you to place that liquidity and facilitate better trading. These are some screenshots from Bo. So at the bottom left, you can see the live market making. And this is where if you deposit Kuji, which is our token, or USK, it will then use those tokens to place limit orders in the books. So you can see live limit sells at the top and live limit buys at the bottom, where more weight is put further away from the central limit, because obviously that's where more of the profit comes from. And in the top right, you can just see the order book size, which is just how much liquidity is in the order books at once, the total liquidity, and the combined APR, which that 26% is representative of both the trading APR and the external incentives. So I won't bore you with any more of the details. That's most of our products. There are a few more, and there's some external products as well. But if you want to, there's lots of places that you can learn about that. What we're really here today for is to just let you know about the student opportunities which Kujira provides. And I'll allow Kid Kuji to introduce that.
Yeah, cheers, KP. So yeah, I'll touch briefly on what our idea for the program is and how you as a student can get involved. As KP mentioned earlier, the program is still in its infancy, and we are sort of still in the process of developing modules and deciding how we want to implement it. But once we have the finished product, we'll have a number of opportunities available, over a sort of a wide range of roles, and I'll explain those now. So there's a uni ambassador program. Students selected for this will be tasked with organizing events, in-person workshops. I think this is a really good opportunity to build a network. You'll sort of have responsibility, be involved in the process, and yeah, sort of have control over your university or jurisdiction. And yeah, I think this could sort of act as a very important stepping stone for students to advance their career in a Web3 space. So something that I'm very excited about. We'll also be launching a Kujira Twitter account, and this will offer a number of roles with outreach, content writing, and sort of other forms of media. So, you guys will be conducting interviews, writing threads, doing research articles, and, this work will be published and publicized on Kujira's Twitter, which I think has got about 75,000 at the moment, and is growing. So, that's a very good environment to put your work out there and network. So I know a fair few of you may be developers as well. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you two to grow. You'll be in exclusive Telegram groups with protocol founders and developers. You'll have the opportunity to speak to these people, to be mentored by them, and also to receive guidance on building your own products, which I think is very important. Alongside these programs, we'll be running trading competitions, educational quizzes. All of these will contribute to improving your understanding and developing your skill set. We've actually had a conversation with a protocol called D-Loyal. They're basically a marketing platform built on Kujira, and we're thinking of implementing like performance-based rewards. So essentially, it's an opportunity to get paid via a referral program. So there's a lot of stuff we're doing. We're going to have a host of roles across a lot of different disciplines, and it will cater towards those with less knowledge and those already involved in the space. you know, it's a great thing to have in your CV, but I think more importantly, it really can serve as a platform to get exposure to crypto and see whether a career in the space is for you. You know, these opportunities, you can really use them as a launch pads, and, you know, content writing, speaking to people, building connections, you give yourself a very good foundation. I mean, lastly, I'll touch on an important question, because I think this is a goal for a lot of people. It's, you know, once my name is out there and people are willing to work for me or with me, how do I get funding? So this is facilitated by the community pool, and they exclusively fund projects on Kujira. The pool contains, I think, about 3.5 million at the time of speaking, and has funded a lot of projects with sort of over 6 figures, D-Loyal, who I mentioned earlier, being one of them. You know, the way that this works is that you propose something, and then these grants are issued by the Senate, which are essentially an elected body that determines whether you get the funding or not. And these grants are, you know, they're offered for incubating projects, developing tools that increase efficiency, assisting with onboarding of users, amongst all sorts of other things. And, you know, these aren't necessarily competitive, but, you know, your ideas proposed should ideally be well written and have a good product market fit with Kujira. You know, as I mentioned earlier, this is why it's so key to, you know, be involved in the community and have a strong presence. You know, by developing relationships with these people, you put yourself in a much better position to have your ideas heard, firstly, but also the opportunity to be funded. And I think that will be one of the main advantages of the program. You know, you'll already be in direct contact with people who have received funding and are in charge of allocating funds to projects. I know personally for me, I found it very difficult to sort of break into those groups and networks, and it required a lot of work. So, you know, for you guys who are going to be in it from the start, I think that's a major advantage. So yeah, that's a sort of a brief overview of the role of the community pool and how to go about getting funded. It's probably worth adding as well, there'll be the opportunity to join pro schools that have already been deployed on Kujira. You know, I'm speaking to a number of these pro schools, and, you know, there's either a lack of developers or content writers. You know, content writing in the space is still pretty poor. So if you can offer that skill, you know, you've already got one foot in the door. You know, as well with these teams, they're building some incredible products. So I've been lucky enough to interview a number of them, and it's very rewarding and intriguing to see what goes on behind the scenes and how they develop a business, how they market it out. So yeah, I mean, all of these roles and opportunities can really lend themselves to, you know, first get initial exposure, but, you know, if you want to leverage that and take it further, these roles can really be for you. I'll pass it over to KP now, and, you know, he can explain some of the ways to break into crypto, and then in the end, I'll sort of jump in with a couple of my own thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for that. So obviously I can only speak from my own experience and what has helped me. So just as a bit of a disclaimer, these things obviously might not work for you, but I strongly believe that these are the reasons why I'm in this position today. So first and foremost, social media. You might not believe what I'm saying, but it's often overlooked. The power of social media within crypto is second to none. It's huge. The only reason I'm in this position today is because of social media. I began first joining, you know, group chats that discussed Luna and Terra, and that's where I learned about Kujira for the first time. I then attended some in-person events, and it's from one of those events in a pub actually in London that I met the Kujira developer and loads of other community members as well. So people could associate a face to my name, because obviously on Twitter, no one's got their profile picture as their face. Everyone's some just random profile picture or an NFT or something. So to actually have a face to the profile picture is important. I truly believe that. Yeah, so just from that moment, speaking to the developers, speaking to the community, posting threads on Twitter, posting Medium articles, that kind of thing, they all became a CV. So I could show the developer at Kujira my Medium articles, my Twitter threads. I'd grown a brand and a personality at that point as well. And just from that, I got this job. But really the moral of the story is to just make your name known, you know, make a brand, make it stand out, be active in the community, that kind of thing. Not just to push your, you know, exposure, but to learn as well and be comfortable asking those questions to friends. So the connections that I have made through crypto at 21 years old are ones that I'm certain I wouldn't have been able to make outside. You know, I speak to, for example, our business dev before even crypto, he was doing nearly $1 billion in real estate sales. Like, these are people that are serious heavyweights in the game. Our developer is well known in the space. I'd argue he's probably the smartest person I've ever met as well. And you know, just through that, through being in crypto and speaking to people on a social media app, I've been able to meet these people. My second piece of advice would just be cheap to employ. And you might not like to hear that, but I think it helps to make the decision easy for your employer. So at the beginning, just offer to work for free, showcase your abilities, just push your brand and your knowledge out there. That way they can, you know, the only risk that they take by onboarding you is time associated and not cost associated. So by working for free, you can prove your worth and work your way up. Crypto is really fast paced as well, as I'm sure you're all aware. So just by being passionate, you'll make sure you're not left behind. Just finally, networking. Attend in-person events. Even you being here is good, because you'll get to meet some people here, like-minded individuals. You get to join group chats, because I mean, as I said right at the beginning, the learning curve in crypto is insane, really. You know, everything's brand new. None of the terms are used outside of crypto. It's all really insular. So doing that alone is a difficult task. But by working towards your goals with like a group of people, even if they are just on the internet, it is extremely rewarding, and it makes it a lot easier, because it can be embarrassing to ask questions when you know they are just, you know, really beginner questions. So yeah, just make sure you do it in a comfortable setting with people that you know. And I'll leave that for Kid Kuji if he wants to speak.
Sure. No, I agree with a lot of what you said. You know, about crypto being sort of an unconventional industry. You know, one of the things I really like is you're valued on your skill set, you know, not your age or anything else that it might be. You know, if you can show you do the work and lead with value, they will take you on. And I don't think any other industry is like that. You know, sort of as KP said, I've myself have spoken to founders of protocols worth over 100 million, which is just crazy. You know, in conventional industries, you'd never be able to speak directly to a CEO. It just wouldn't happen. So I think that's something which is very cool about crypto. You know, yeah, lastly, I would say, if you're unsure what you want to do, or feeling like you're playing it safe, or choosing something because it seems convenient, really give some thought to whether this could be for you. You know, just 6 months ago, I was producing M&A reports for MergerSite, which was like a student-run website. And in all honesty, I had no interest in it or any of the available internships in the summer. You know, I was sort of lacking a bit of direction, to be honest with you. And I think what crypto has given me is a possibility of not just a job, but a lifestyle. You know, to have autonomy over my work, to be able to work remotely and travel across the world, and to actually feel like I'm making a significant contribution rather than just, you know, another cog in a machine going through an endless list of tasks. So yeah, I mean, I always say, if you want to live an unconventional life, you've got to make unconventional choices, and we're all at an age right now where we can afford to do so. So I'd really encourage you to think about this opportunity, because it does have the capacity to change your life trajectory. You know, we're all in uni, and I think at this point in time we can pivot and choose, and as long as we dedicate ourselves, there's a big chance of success. So yeah, I'd really push you to consider this. But yeah, that's all from me.
In fact, that's all from both of us. So yeah, as I mentioned to Somesh at the start, and I'll mention to you guys now, we will be providing a Google Forms link where you can, I think the details are really simple. It's just your name, your email, that kind of thing. We'll have some sort of mailing list, and when this program is ready to go, we'll get you involved as soon as we can. And yeah, I mean, just thank you for listening to us today. I do appreciate that. And I think we were going to end with a bit of a Q&A if Somesh wants to introduce that.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, thank you so much, guys, KP and Al, for taking time off and presenting here, as well as Cosmos, as well as some valuable life advice to everyone at the end. I think a lot of us in uni we're still trying to figure things out. We're not sure about what we exactly want. But yeah, I think that's completely fine. It's about putting yourself out there and really not being afraid and just giving it your all, right? We're open to questions. I think we can take about 3 questions. So I've got one from my end, but if anyone else has any questions and they'd like to go first. If not, I can go ahead and ask. So actually this is more of so I've noticed like on protocols like Arbitrum, right? So on chains like Arbitrum, there are a lot of protocols are recently launching stuff that encompasses real yield, right? So this looks at decentralized option vaults, for example, or even protocols like GMX, where trading fees are distributed to LP stakers in the form of GLP or GMX. But for the case of Kujira and the Cosmos system as a whole, do you think that is a direction that you're going to pivot towards, or is that something that is on the roadmap but not actively being discussed?
Sure, I'll answer that one. I don't want to take credit for it, but real yield has been, or sustainable yield has been, the core of our ethos literally throughout Kujira's existence. So when we first began, our first sort of marketing technique really was to demonstrate that, like, we don't need inflationary incentives. We don't need inflationary tokens. We don't need to pay people with tokens printed out of thin air, which was why I sort of emphasized the order book part, because without the need for liquidity providers to pull together assets, because so the reason why you need inflationary incentives in AMMs or LPs is because the impermanent loss is large in crypto, right? Volatility of those assets is huge. So as they're moving up and down, you're losing money versus just holding it. In fact, we read an article from, I think it's Bancor or maybe Balancer, one of the two, which was like 96% of all Uniswap LPs are like in loss. They're losing against just holding both of those assets. So by providing liquidity on an LP, you're literally just burning money, right? So instead, that whole real yield and real sustainable, profits and revenue was something that we took core to our heart. A lot of our competitors, especially in Cosmos, still operate by that method with just inflationary incentives that literally are, as you said, printed out of nothing. So real yield is 100% core to our ethos, and we built our products in a way that ensures that is a thing. Because Kujira is very insular, where all of the revenue is actual revenue from fees, from certain tax modules are just redistributed to Kujira stakers, and none of those tokens are inflationary. In fact, we've pretty much vested all of our tokens. So of the 120 million tokens in a total supply, maybe 100 million of them are in circulation already, and the only ones left are our team tokens that need to be emitted. So we're not emitting any tokens, we're not emitting any inflationary incentives. All revenue is shared, is actual revenue. So we think that is incredibly important in crypto, because all of these inflationary incentivized AMMs, what happens when you hit the max token supply and you can't inflate any more tokens? Are you just going to rebrand, do another token, make another AMM, which has worked so far, right? You can just keep swapping between one AMM to another. But is that a sustainable model? We don't think so. So yeah, real yield is 100% core to everything that we do. And we're actively encouraging anyone that builds on Kujira to have that ethos as well. I hope that sort of answers your question.
Yep, thanks, KP. I think there's a question in the chat as well. Are there any other solutions or ideas to combat impermanent loss that you've found or or heard that you could potentially work out?
There is an interesting one. Again, I forget the names. It's either Balancer or Bancor, but they've got instead of it just being 2 pools, it's a 6 pool of assets or a 3 pool of assets, and instead of pooling it against a stable coin, because the issue is, right, the stable coin holds its value at $1, the other asset is completely volatile, and because the two don't track each other, that's why you have impermanent loss. So if you can have two tokens that sort of do track each other, for example, I don't know, a Bitcoin Ethereum pool or a Bitcoin Ethereum BNB pool, then that sort of goes to help with impermanent loss, as they sort of, they track each other in volatility. Obviously, the concentrated liquidity in Uniswap is also somewhat important. I've not seen an updated research piece to see if concentrated liquidity does work. Just for anyone that doesn't know, if you LP in Uniswap V2, you provide liquidity from a token price of $0 to infinity, which is obviously really, capital inefficient, because that token is never going to go to infinity. It's never, well, it might go to zero, but so by providing liquidity over that range, it's really inefficient. Whereas concentrated liquidity allows you to provide liquidity in a smaller fixed price range. So I'd imagine that has gone some way to helping, but is that beginner friendly? No. Do you need to actively manage those LPs? Yes. Do you need to, track the chart and track the price of the assets every day? Yes. So in my humble opinion, AMMs are just not worth it. I don't think they're scalable. I don't think they work. And not that they don't work, they do work, and it's useful for example, long tail assets where there's just not much liquidity and you just need to be able to trade at a certain price. But yeah, in my opinion, AMMs are something that will get phased out by some new technology at some point, or just an order book, because an order book, the only issue with an order book is incentivizing liquidity or getting people to place limit orders. If, for example, I think the NASDAQ is completely order book trading. So that's all limit buyers, limit sells. You've got market makers making that market with those limit buyers and sells. And that's how that works. And it's worked for X amount of years. It's one of the biggest, traded platforms. So the order book works, and it's worked forever, will always work. The only issue is getting that liquidity on the platform. So yeah, I think I've answered your question with, a few maybe possible ideas to combat it.
All right, I think we've got time for one last question, if anyone has any questions. If not, I actually got one more, which I'm kind of curious about. So this goes back to the very first question I asked, right? I think I asked about what are some of the risks that someone takes on when they are buying liquidated collateral, right? And this brings me on to my point of, is there a way to sort of hedge your bet? Like, how there are delta neutral strategies that you can take on in other protocols. Is there something similar that's out there in Kujira for someone who buys liquidated collateral? Like, let's say you can buy a call, you can buy something that, sort of hedges against your bet.
Yeah, actually, I mean, no is the answer. Currently, no, there isn't. But options is something that we're definitely looking at. And I personally am, that's the first thing that I want to be put on Kujira, right? So options would be a good bet. I guess the only way that you could mitigate the risk is by going short. So we do facilitate shorting of some assets, not massive amounts, to be honest with you. That is something that we're going to ramp up as time goes on and we have more liquidity, for example. So yeah, you could short the same asset that you're buying at a discount, and that sort of prevents some of the risk. But options, we've discussed it. The team are working on a couple products already, and I'm not sure I mentioned this actually. The core team is only 3 people, so we've got one developer, one backend, and one backend, one front end, and one just like head of the of operations, basically. And that's why I say this developer is probably the smartest guy I've ever met, because in 8 months he's made all of these products on his own, right? But because we have such a small team and we're working on a product already, that would be the natural order of events. But we have discussed options, and I think it'd be a perfect fit for Kujira, perfect fit for Cosmos. I don't even think there is an options protocol, or if there is, I've not heard of it. So it's probably not big enough for the moment. So, I mean, it just again shows the testament that like if you are a developer and you know how options work and you know how this thing, you know, how it operates, we can help you provide a team, or we can help provide a team to you. We can get you built on Kujira, we can get you funded, that kind of thing. Because we haven't solved all the problems yet. Of course we haven't. There's only 7 products, 8 products. And there might be things that you notice while you're using Kujira that are like, okay, this would be nice to have on Kujira. I'd like to build that myself. So there's loads and loads of like, yeah, just little niches that you can fill. Yeah.
Great, thanks for that, KP. I think we've come to the end of the webinar. But before we end off, I'd like everyone, if you can, please turn on your cameras. We'll just take a quick picture, just for memory's sake. So please turn on your cameras if you guys can. And then Justin, just let us know when you're ready to take a picture.
Yep. All right. I'll give everyone like a minute or two just to turn on your cameras. One second. So much maybe issues saving the getting a gallery up. Can you do it on your end?
Give me a sec. KP, could you stop sharing your screen? I think,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, just give us. Yeah, is it better now, Justin?
Yeah, that can work. Give me a second. I need to check. Okay, yeah, that works. Okay, in that case, everyone look in the camera. Smile. All right, that works. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you everyone for taking time to come off, especially KP and Niall. Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedules. We really appreciate it. I think everyone learned a lot from this presentation as well. So that's the end of the presentation. The recording will be shared with you guys, so not to worry about that. But if not, thank you everyone. Have a great night for those in Singapore. Those overseas, have a great weekend coming up. And yeah, that's all for today.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.